I really get a sense of who Aryan is. And I think it's so interesting to let
Yeah.
that a creator has shown so much of himself through his art.
He's Aryan Khan and he bet on himself.
Only emotional core of the show, if there even is one,
Hmm.
is the friendship story.
And this guy is just sitting there yelling "Gafoor, Gafoor."
Yeah.
I mean, that's a line that only Arshad could
Arshad could
deliver.
deliver. I love the reappreciation of Imran Hashmi more than I love the reappreciation of Bobby Deol.
Just a middle finger to so many people, you sort of lose track of like who's being flipped off here.
Hi, and welcome to a new episode of Khandan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie, and I'm joined with my lovely co-host Amrita. Hey, Amrita.
Hi, Asim.
We also have a special guest today. We have Suchin from Streaming from Suchin. Oh my God, it's like a celebrity.
Firstly, secondly, this is always fun. Thank you.
I love embarrassing my friends. Now you've taken Sujoy's spot, so imagine how you're going to be treated for the rest of the episode by me.
I'm honored.
We're talking about the Bads of Bollywood. I think we can now say Bastards of Bollywood, right? Like it's out in
Yeah.
the open, like the secret is out.
Technically,
so-
yes, but in my head, it's still Bads of Bollywood. I don't know why.
I mean, I just want everyone to know that this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. Like, this is not going to be a spoiler-free
Yes,
thing.
but we will do a spoiler warning. I don't think we can jump straight away spoiler, like start talking about it in the final episode. I know you want to, Amrita, but I think let's keep some structure.
Yeah, like I think the best parts about this show can't be discussed without spoiling it. Like I don't know how to discuss all the cool things that happen
Yeah.
without discussing the spoilers.
But we will. I think let's. Khandan is a pro spoiler area, so we will be talking about spoilers. But let's keep it towards the end. Let's start with like general feelings and things. But I just wanted to Suchin. I'm really enjoying the new season of Streaming with Suchin. I told
thank you.
and I embarrassed you that I literally like binged one episode after the other. So congratulations, and
Thank you.
people should check that out. Although it's really funny that you have a huge audience and we're saying people should check out your show. It should be the other way around. You should be plugging us on your show, actually.
I will happily plug you guys.
And also, like I think one of the reasons why yours is like one of the few shows that I still watch that is centered around people talking is because like you actually have a conversation with these people, which I can't even imagine how hard that is to like battle through all the PR bullshit. So I really appreciate it, and kudos to you.
No, I appreciate that. I will push back on that a little bit. In terms of who has what audience, like you guys have been doing this, like you're one of the OGs, you've been doing this for the longest time. It's one of the most fun podcasts around, especially now at a time where every 7-year-old and everyone just needs to have a podcast mic attached to their face. No, I mean, there's a big difference. You can tell the people, I've done this for like, 2 years. So, no, I mean, you guys really have been doing it in the best version of itself much longer than most people who just, I don't know what thrill they get from doing it. So, no, I will push back.
I think that was one of the on the stand-up episode you did. Somebody was saying there should be less podcast, even, right?
Yeah, there are more podcasts than there are audience members.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why the ones that really matter, the ones that are really fun, that the conversation's really good, I feel like they are more valuable than ever before. So I will absolutely put you guys on that list.
So I think you're like the perfect guest for this episode that we're doing. This has been like a big release. Like the buzz around this show has been going on for so long, and it's like let's start with this. I think Aryan Khan just generally from a lot of the audience we see, just has a lot of goodwill, right? Maybe not from like he's obviously Shah Rukh's son. He's been through a lot of things in the last few years, and I think that just inherently gets audience on his good side. Suchin, man, do you think he was able to use that goodwill in the right manner making this show?
If I had to say yes or no, I would say yes. Because I was just going to say goodwill can only take you so far, right? It gives you attention, gets people to check out the show. But eventually, ideally, where we come in is if the show stands on its own two legs. And I think this one really does. I mean, I guess the ultimate test of that is if somebody checked the show out without knowing who's behind it, etc., would they enjoy it? And I think there's a lot to be enjoyed here. And I really do think this is something very interesting and distinctive. And to put it very basically, he's doing something. And at a time where we see so many people doing absolutely nothing, just generic mush, there is something being done here, which is proving to be a bit divisive. But no, I would say yes. Yeah.
What about you, Amrita?
No, I agree with Suchin. I've seen a lot of people who've already started to clip scenes from the show and they're putting it on Instagram. Like, we don't have TikTok, so I don't know what the scene is. But on Instagram, there are all those clips of, the Imran Hashmi scene,
Yeah.
for example. Like, that's a huge hit. And I've seen people, and this might shock you, Asim, because we're so used to a Twitter audience. But there are people on Instagram who are just like, what is this? Who is this from? What do you mean? Bads of Bollywood. They have like no idea.
Wow.
And they are reacting to the clip and they're having such a good time with it. And they're watching it without any of that context, right? Like none of the context that we have, who are permanently online, who are like living on Twitter, who have been in this echo chamber around this project for months or years at this point. But these people are just like fresh faced audience who are just watching a clip without any context, and they immediately want to know, where is this from, where can I watch more of this, and what is it, etc. And I think like that's one of the best indicators, because I'm talking about hundreds of comments on these clips. It's not even like, oh, like somebody clipped it and it's just like two people that have like viewed it. I mean, the comment sections are popping off, and that's a great indication for me about how well this series is being received by normal audiences, if I can use the term.
One thing that I was just going to add to that, which I find very interesting, is because, like you said, there's the goodwill factor, there's the Bollywood factor, there's the cameos, there's film Twitter getting around this. All of us call us nerds, whatever. We'll obviously rally around it, talk about it, etc. But there's this big piece of wisdom within the industry that basically, I've heard this from multiple people over the years. They say that general audiences don't like watching movies and shows about filmmaking and behind sort of scenes, the world of show business. Ironically, even though that's something that all of us I know love, and I've heard this time and again, and I'm very curious to know whether this breaks through. And the sense I'm getting, like you're saying, is it is, and obviously it's too early to tell. We'll see whatever the viewership is a year from now or whatever. But that's something I'm very curious about. That basically it's sort of like the industry makes these shows for themselves, or it's only the cinephiles or whatever you want to call us. But does it actually break out? And I have a good feeling about this one because it is a really good time.
And also, just because you said that about the movies that have been made about the industry, and I'm just going to talk about the two big ones that we talk about in the recent past. Are Luck by Chance and Om Shanti Om by the two cousins like Zoya and Farah, tonally extremely different from each other. And look, you guys, like, I enjoyed Bads of Bollywood, but I've seen people try and say that, oh, this is better than Luck by Chance and stuff. And let's not get carried away here. I truly did enjoy this series and everything, but I think, I mean, we can discuss this later, but no, like both Zoya and Farah put in years of work before they were allowed to make their movies, and I think that really shows through with Aryan's filmmaking, because he's very assured, and like you said, Suchin, he has a perspective which is increasingly rare these days, because you can really see that he internalized a lot of stuff from script writing class. It's been a joy to just watch the narrative unfold, because it's always like, this happened, therefore this happened, therefore this happened, and then this happened because that happened back then. Like, it's perfect. And one of the great drags of watching Bollywood these days is that most movies are just a collection of scenes just strung together. Like, this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. And I'm just like, well, why? Why are any of these things happening? Because I'm so bored. And I was not bored when I was watching this show.
I think it's interesting because Aryan is somebody who's not been really present as a person in Bollywood. Like, he's never done an interview, as far as I know. And even in this massive press tour and this push that Netflix is doing, no, he's not done an interview at all, right? But I feel watching this show, I really get a sense of who Aryan is. And I think it's so interesting to let
Yeah.
that a creator has shown himself so much of himself through his art. And I think the comparison about Om Shanti Om, Page 6, or Lag by Chance are not true. I don't think those are those work, because I think this is a show of now. It's not a show of 10 years ago. It's very much has a sensibility of what people and young people think of and how they approach things. And I think this has more to do almost with a show like Gen V, or The Boys, or something that's kind of poking fun at the genre, and also kind of like even James Gunn's Peacemaker, like that kind of like sensibility of kind of rock and roll, poking fun, but also pushing back on the audience and kind of messing with them. And I think that's the kind of mixed cocktail that, and the show with Seth Rogen that won a lot of awards, I think that's more the sensibility that Aryan has than something that, a lot of people are making the comparison of Farah Khan, and it's not at all the same thing. I also don't know, he's not been raised on Bollywood the same way. He has been raised in Bollywood, but he's not been raised with Bollywood the way Farah and Farhan and everybody else have.
Why do you
I
say
would
that?
like to push back. Yeah, I want to push back on that because, and now we're going to get into spoiler territory, but there are references in this show. For example, the Gafurbai character and his little henchmen, and the way the henchmen interact with each other, which is some of the funniest writing that I have seen come out of Bollywood in years. You know, there's that scene where they're kidnapping Freddy, and they're having this little this little conversation about like how they're gonna like fuck Freddy up, and it is one of the funniest things that I have seen. Like, I had to pause to laugh. That's how hard I was laughing with that. But it is such a throwback to like the 80s masala brand of like henchman humor, and henchman interaction that you don't really see anymore. I think like the last bunch of people that I've seen use henchmen like that is probably like Farah, or maybe Salman Khan and his brothers. So somebody somewhere has been showing Aryan Baba, like, the storied movies of yesteryear's Bollywood. I don't think he is as divorced from Bollywood cinema as you would think or assume that he is.
The sense I got, and I said this in my review, and again, it's very interesting and kind of fun that all of us are reading so much into this, because I mean, all I've done is talk to friends and colleagues about this over the last few days about, what is he trying to do and what is he trying to say and what kind of person is he, and that's part of the fun. But at the same time, like, it could just be he's just trying to make a fun show, and we're all just like trying to get a sense of everything. But the sense I got from it was he's someone who really likes Hindi movies, but really does not like the Hindi film industry. And that's the sense I got from the show, that like, because even the way sort of the industry is portrayed is this sort of, it's all about the egos and the power trips and sort of all of that stuff. And yeah, you never get a sense this of the filmmaking, the storytelling, the emotion behind the big screen. Rahul Desai said this in his review, that that you never see a film being shot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and so that whole idea is he's just showing the sort of the empty ego-filled vacuous side of it. And so that's the sense you get, if we are reading that much into that, he doesn't have the highest opinion of the industry itself. But in terms of just the tropes and like you said, the henchmen, even the hero's best friend, the villains, just all the references and stuff, you really get a sense of someone who really likes or has grown up on Hindi movies and seems to be a fan. And because he uses that language so well, because we're so used to watching films and shows by people who are very much either influenced by Hollywood or aping the West and trying to sort of Indianize it in some way. But here you really did get a sense of someone who really does enjoy sort of masala cinema and using all of those things. And it felt honest and, someone who's really having a lot of fun in that space rather than trying to ape something else.
So one question I have, so this is a challenge I had with the show, that I'm constantly thinking of oh, what is he spoofing? Oh, what is this a reference to? And how is real life mixing with Ariel? Ariel with, and how is that kind of that cocktail going? And sometimes I had trouble with just focusing on the show and enjoying it. Suchin, was that kind of a challenge for you sometimes, where the brain is just constantly like, what is this? What is Gafoor? Like you mentioned about Gafoor. Like, was that something for you?
It was. I agree with you. I think that's to some degree it's part of the fun because you're trying to be like, where is this going? But also, I would argue that the times where your brain is really active, it means that you're not fully engaged. Like the really funny scenes, our favorite moments. We're not thinking that as much, right? If the jokes or the stuff is all landing, then that part won't be alive. But yeah, no, that was something. Also for me, it's such an angsty show. Like I keep saying that it's like a '90s pot boiler film if it was made by sort of a very angsty millennial. And early on, I enjoyed all the middle fingers because I just feel like he's giving a middle finger to so much. The industry, the audience, this, that. By the end, I lost track of who's being like. It's just a middle finger to so many people. You sort of lose track of like who's being flipped off here. So then that is the downside of it. But yeah, I agree with you. It's at times it's part of the fun. At times, then you start having a conversation with yourself saying, am I just reading too much into this? Is this all just in service of a punchline? And they were laughing in the writer's room and all of us are like trying to psychoanalyze it. Yeah. But yes, that does happen for sure.
Yeah, I had like a slightly different, along the same lines, but a slightly different thought, which is I don't know how well this show translates to people who don't have, who aren't obsessed with Bollywood the way that we are, who aren't like film nerds or whatever. I have no idea how this would land with people who, are just watching a show and don't get any of the Easter eggs or any of the references. Like, how does that work for them? I'd have no idea.
I would think that because for me, like a lot of it works. The Easter eggs are sort of an add-on. Like for example, I on Twitter, there were people who did threads on all the Easter eggs and sort of this scene is in reference to this thing that happened in the film Pharaoh Wars or whatever. And I had no idea. I think the answer to your question would be the earlier thing of do audiences care about sort of getting an inside look into show business in a really fun, call it spoofy, call it sort of excessive way. And also, I think it ultimately comes down to the comedy, which I think is the essence of the show. That's what it's going for. That's what I find most interesting about him. I think he's a very interesting comedic voice on the block. I think it's comedy specifically more than anything else. And yeah, I think if the comedy works and people are having a good time, I think could make the difference of people because, yeah, a lot of it is Easter egg specific, but a lot of it, I think, even if you don't get it, if you are happy to watch a really fun, over-the-top story of an actor trying to navigate the big, bad circus, then maybe that would work.
And I think the comedy is very specific to it. That's what I was saying. You get to learn Aryan's sensibilities of it. And I don't think everything works necessarily. Like some jokes are just so silly. And I thought they were so hilarious. My favorite one where there's where Sodawala is like puts all of the baby oil on his naked body. And that's literally like my favorite. And it's such a silly joke. And I knew where it was going. And it was hilarious. But then there's other jokes where he like drop kicks that lady and she flips, and you know what they're trying to build for, but I don't think it kind of paid off what they were like. The comedy doesn't hit. Like
the payoff there was just so to give Sodawala a cool one-liner and then to give Asman a cooler one-liner, and I was like, that's.
Yeah, but you still
forgive me if I don't.
You still straight kicked a lady in the belly, like it's still like that. Like, but you get it. Like you get like it's a young guy writing these kind of roles. And the other thing that I really also got, again, speaking about Aryan and what the focus is really on the boys. This is a very boys-centric show.
Yeah,
this is if you give a 15-year-old a massive budget, and I mean. It's not a comment on him. That's the level of humor it is. It's very boys' hostel.
It is, and like the good example of that is there's like two breakups that happen, right, with Asman. One where she discovers that the actresses come to meet him and tell him that she loves him, but she sees him with another girl, and then she drives away, and you have that joke where, can you put the song off? Obviously that's a joke to like a meta idea of Bollywood where there's a sad song playing in the background, but it's actually playing in the car. So that becomes a punchline. But does get a sad song is the best friend when they have the breakup and he slaps him, and that gets a proper song and the proper Bollywood. And I was like, oh, that is such a boy-centric idea about the bigger heartbreak is actually the friendship breaking than the heartbreak with the girl, obviously, which is just, yeah, it's a very juvenile. I've got all of the toys in my toy box, and I can just play the way I want, and this is what I want to focus on.
But I have to say, like, usually when I see something this bro coded, is usually a drag. It's not like, it's usually some toxic bullshit that I'm just like, well, I don't really care about any of these people or anything that's happening. But Raghav Juyal as Parvez, like, absolutely saved this show from that.
I
Because
did have to warm up to him, I have to say. It took me a
oh
while,
yeah.
and it is literally the Imran Hashmi scene that got me there. But until there, I was like, I feel I've seen this way too many times, this kind of like template best friend kind of role, which, like, dick touching going on and everything.
I think like I've just seen Raghav in enough. I've seen enough of Raghav's work to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like I knew that there was going to be a rabbit that he pulled out of the hat at some point. So I was willing to give him enough freedom to get me to that point. And there's a scene where he's like sort of hanging out with the Gaffoos gang, and one of them, I think his name is Salim. I might be mistaken, but basically he and Pervez basically have like this sort of like jokey homoerotic sort of relationship happening. And there's this scene where I forget why, but basically he's complimenting Salim and he's just saying that, oh my god, like you look like you're the star, and like, oh my god, like look at your body and everything. And they do like a little silly shimmy together. And it is honestly like funny, but also it's pure. It's like really like, like, hey, like you're my bro kind of a thing. And I just, yeah, like Raghav 100% got like the best lines and the best moments of the show.
I think he is. I mean, for me, he was the best thing about it. There's also something about sort of long form shows, like a show versus a film, where I compare him to Bhuvan Arora in Fuzzy, where the idea that the best friend on screen, we know he's a better actor, he gets 2-3 scenes, but when you have a series, they get so much more space and time to fly, and they can literally sort of end up stealing the show to some degree. But in terms of the humor, I found that so interesting because it is very, very bro coded. It's very boys' locker room, and it's interesting. I've had friends and colleagues tell me that a lot of them have been put off by that, which I completely get, because it is very juvenile and it's going for it. But I found it so interesting because there were so many things when I was watching it where there was shock value, and I love how he doubles down on it. Like he's like, yeah, you think that's bad. He's not sort of, he's really going for it. Like it or hate it, he's going for it. So there were times where, for me, the character that really encapsulates that is Karishma's brother, the horrible, shit-stirring brat who you just want to punch in the face. And like there were so many times where like he would say something and like I literally was like, can you say that? Like I didn't find that funny. You like when he says, I hate how poor you are or whatever he says, and like it's just so aggressive, and you're like, how dare you? And then you can feel the show saying, oh, you thought that was bad, or you had an issue with that, watch what I do next. But then by the end, which is also credit to the performance and writing, like I was laughing. Like for me, by the end, like the sort of the masturbation thing in the penultimate episode where he said, that's what you call a climax, and the fact that it's just being like, oh, you thought that was bad, and even I'm sure we'll talk about it, but the twist in the final episode, I was sort of trying to process in real time. I was like, wait, what do I make of that? I don't know. And then before I can even complete my thought, we get that final moment of the brother, and I just love the idea that sort of there was this whole energy of like, love it or hate it, this is what I'm going for, this is the pitch of humor I'm going for, and I'm going for it. I'm going all in, and you can like me, and yeah, I kind of like that. Like he really, really, if you're going to do it, go all in.
But I think one of the problems then, like when you are talking about like it very being juvenile, being bro coded, I do feel that it's so male centric that it does feel that the female writing or the female characters are not developed anymore at all. like I've spoken a little bit about the romance, but even the idea of the actress playing the manager,
Sanya.
I thought she was amazing. By the way, I thought that was one of the best performances there. But there's she a lot of times she just feels like being a nag when she's being put in impossible positions by these two boys, right? And she needs to manage it, but she doesn't ever get the tools to manage it. But the other thing that I was also noticing is that all of the cameos are by male
Men.
stars.
Yeah,
None.
no
Yeah.
women.
There's no charisma. There's no charisma. There's no kajol. Like he could have picked up the phone book and gotten anybody. The only body that gets is Disha Patni. Weirdly enough, she gets
No,
one.
women get red carpet moments. They get like
Yeah,
2.3 seconds and like a quick gag here,
yeah.
but like
Yeah.
the Fabulous Wives, etc. But yeah,
But even
no
that
women get that.
Fabulous Lives thing felt more like a Netflix Avengers things than like anything else. Like obviously they know each other personally, they're family friends and stuff like that. But it was like how come there was nobody else that could like Juhi couldn't be there or something like that, you know? And that felt like I missed that. I
It's
missed
telling.
that kind of moment, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely sort of just solidifies that whole sort of very writers' room energy of the show.
Yeah. And then the other sometimes issues that I was also having coming back to that real versus real clash is also just the dynamics of the show itself, right? So apparently there's this huge massive star because we're working in a fictional cinema like industry where you have Ajay Talwar who's played by Bobby Deol, and he's like this massive star. But then it becomes odd when you have Shah Rukh coming in and you have Salman coming in. So this is a world where Shah Rukh is not the biggest star.
He
And
says
that
it
is,
also. I think Shah
sorry?
Rukh says on stage. I think Shah Rukh says on stage when he passes to Ajay Talwar that he's the biggest star. So
Yeah,
yeah,
which is weird because we never get to know Ajay Talwar, right? Like his old movies that are popular are all Gupt basically, right? And Soldier a little bit. But what kind of star is he? Is he a romantic star? Is he an action star? Is he a nepo baby? Like we never understand what Ajay Talwar himself is, right? And then you're also clashing with real performances. Karan Johar playing what he thinks the audience thinks of him. I think he's like really
yeah.
playing that kind of idea of Karan Johar, the star maker, and he's really reveling in it. Like he's having so much fun playing this. Like I really enjoyed Karan. Like I know he got like he's very kind of self-deprecating with Bombay Velvet. I feel, which is completely misplaced because he was amazing in Bombay Velvet, and Bombay Velvet was a great movie that I absolutely loved. But he gets another star and he's such a juicy meaty role and he's just like reveling in it. But there was these moments where I was like, okay, there's none of the female stars are there. Who is Ajay Talwar supposed to be? Karan is playing this version of himself. Who is Jairaj supposed to be? Right? So there's a lot of these elements where I was like, it's kind of not gelling sometimes for me, unfortunately. But yeah, it is just so energetic and so fun that you just kind of go with it, and there's just one joke after the other. And sometimes you're right, like between the 50 f-bombs and the VR wanking, sometimes the movie can like the show can lose us, but it has something else to add or some innocent silly joke that it gets you back on the train.
But I
But
did want to ask you guys about the Ajay Talwar thing. Firstly, in terms of the show not gelling, like I feel like that the show will tell you that that's the point. You know,
yeah,
like it's basically like we're literally like by the time something is not working for you, we've done 50 other things.
yeah,
But I was talking to a friend about this, and for me, the Ajay Talwar character and Bobby's performance, he didn't do too much. He was just there. He was fine. I loved his entry. It was amazing. But the whole point was, I didn't feel much for that character. He was just a sort of a tick box. He's her dad. He's whatever the ego clash. But then somebody else was telling me how much they love that performance. They've never seen Bobby like this, and obviously there is that moment because it's I guess he's supposed to thread that fine line between being an asshole, but then the sort of twist at the end reframes everything. It makes you want to revisit it to be like, but was he ever? Was he like, what was his agenda, etc. But that character seems to have really done a lot for a lot of people, and it did for me. So I wanted to ask you
yeah.
guys what you thought.
Yeah, and it's also like at the end we're kind of he becomes basically Bobby from Animal, right? Like he's like also like a super kung fu fighter. So there's always this clash about what's real, what's not real, and like yeah, the movie kind of like the show is kind of in that twilight zone where you can't really always figure it out, and maybe, but I don't like that pushback of that's what it's supposed to be or that's what it's trying to do. I do feel that
Yeah.
the show itself needs to pick a side. and sometimes it just has the luxury of not picking a side, and it's like
picks
up to
every
you.
side.
Yeah. So I think that sometimes I have a bit of trouble with that. Amrita, what did you think of the Bobby character before I kind of jump to the
Um,
next point?
no, because I actually liked Bobby in this role. I haven't seen like the way that Bobby has structured it, where you see him the first time that you see him, with that soldier instrumental in the back, and
Excellent.
he yeah, and he's very like beta to Asman, and then you get this idea that like the people who know him know that it's an act and it's bullshit, and then you kind of like see glimpses through the show of this image that he's created. When he's hanging out with his old producer friend, the Me Too guy, and that guy's like, well, didn't you ever cheat on your wife? And he's just like, well, no, of course not. I've always been like a one woman man kind of a thing. And to me, like, a lot of things about Bobby's character is Shah Rukh coded.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There's the thing that like what his daughter says, that talks about like her father having like 6 back-to-back flops, and then like living in that house and like dealing with that, etc. I mean, I feel like that's recent history for Aryan, right? Like he's
Yeah.
mining from that well. um, and the way that Bobby plays this character is very, it's very 90s coded in the best way. I really enjoyed it. I don't know how coherent that character is, but then I feel like this entire series has a tone to it that it nails for about 90% of the time. It exaggerates things, it borrows things, it creates a fantasy version, where you see things that you recognize, but it's the funhouse version, the funhouse mirror version of things that you might recognize in real life. And I really like that they did it that way, because I don't think they would have been able to do half the things that they were able to do in the series if they had set it in 100% realistic, say, luck by chance sort of setting, because there would have been a lot of people who were like truly upset and would have written like filed PILs in Supreme Court or whatever. It would have just been like one long line of it would have been an apology tour more than like a PR tour.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get why they did it, and I think the fact that he's a first time director and he nailed like 90% of it, I'm not mad at it.
Like he knows the Om Shanti Om situation with Manoj Kumar too,
Yeah.
right? Like so he knows what can happen. Sorry, Suchin, you were saying?
No, I was just saying in terms of what Shah Rukh quoted. Like again, this is us, me very proudly
Yeah.
reading into a lot of it. But I was thinking a lot about Asman being sort of young Shah Rukh. I think they use those words of like he's pompous and arrogant, and I think those words were used for Shah Rukh when he joined the industry. And I kept thinking, which I guess all of us after the show, like what is Aryan trying to say? Like, is there a statement he's trying to make? And I think the answer is hell yes and no and whatever, everything, all of the above. But the one thing I kept thinking about is the whole idea of the industry being this sort of very unforgiving, good freaking luck surviving that space, and the idea that everything that happens to Asman in the show is not his own doing. Like he's done nothing wrong. He's just had a hit film, and then all of these messy things happen, and he's sort of the victim of it. And so I was like, yeah, the whole idea that is there something to that? The whole idea that like, God forbid you are seen as a talent and maybe you've got your sort of foot in the door. To actually survive the circus is going to like good bloody luck. You have to then become an Ajay Talwar to be that calculating, because that's the only way, because that's what it takes, or these are the kind of stakes you're dealing with, or the kind of characters you're dealing with. And as for the luck by chance thing, again, me very proudly reading into it, but like I was just thinking, maybe that's the only way you can tell this story, is it has to be this ridiculous outsized masala thing that even like refuses to conform to genre, because the only way you can really justify the sort of Bollywood and show business is chaos. Like it has to be, that's the only language you can tell, because it has to be comedy, because it's ridiculous, but it also has to be all of the other stuff.
I also think the Shah Rukh codedness of Bobby's Ajay was in the way that clearly the daughter is the favorite, right? The daughter is the star, the daughter is the beautiful actress, and the son is an actual loser. And I think that's kind of like also something that Aryan is maybe playing with, like saying, I
But
say
he's
the
not a
wrong
loser.
thing.
He's a dickhead.
Yeah,
He's a
but I think there's something there that he's trying to say
yeah.
about, maybe himself in a way, like being self-deprecating in a way. But there's this idea, but there were these moments, like obviously when he has Inspector Wankhead kind of come into the party and take, oh, you're standing next to somebody who's smoking a joint.
Druggist.
Like that is like an amazing. But a softer moment was when Asman gets taken to jail and his mom is kind of trying to come in and he's screaming, "That's my mom." Like those were the moments that that's Aryan, writing himself or some part of him in that show, which I thought was really touching in a way. Dealing with it sometimes with humor, sometimes with emotion, sometimes with comedy, sometimes making it an exaggerated parody of himself. But that's what I like about the show is how much Aryan puts in of himself into his art.
I was honestly taken aback. I did not expect him to write that particular incident so much into the show.
Yeah.
Like that completely took me by surprise. And I am so glad that he was able to do it. And he was able to do it on his terms because obviously he's never spoken about it. His family's never spoken about it. And I think like part of the reason why we never see Shah Rukh now on talk shows or on interviews is because he doesn't want to talk about it. And I think that's going to be the issue with Aryan also. But he was able to sort of exercise it from himself and do it in this way, in his own way, and do it in a way that like really makes a statement. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Without it being a multi-episode
Yeah,
arc either, right? Like it's just one small segment and then we're just moving on to other things. Like that, I like that approach to it.
yeah,
I love the audacity of it, and yeah, Amrita, like you said, I did not expect it to be that direct, and again, it just really sets the tone of the show, which is just a middle finger. But I'll never not love the idea of and the fact that you can use your art form, like speak through your art.
yeah,
The whole idea of like just wait for it, and it's one of my favorite things about stand-up comedy, which a lot of male comedians love misusing. But the idea that like you will take this really weird thing that's happened, and you
yeah.
will turn it into like a great set. And that's exactly what he did, and it lands so like that moment at the end just is goosebumps, and yeah.
Amrita, what were the other performances that stood out for you? So we've spoken kind of about like the characters and the story, but like what are the performances that you kind of thought like they were
I
quite good?
Manoj Pahwa was so good. Like he was funny, and he was like the scenes between him and Rajat Bedi, where Rajat Bedi comes and like saves him from getting his ass kicked.
That was such a
Um,
weird bromance. I did not see that coming either.
but also like Rajat Bedi, where he's just playing this like total like weirdo psycho creep, but he's been turned into a weirdo psycho creep because of the industry and the way that it's treated him. And he is basically Asman from another dimension.
Interesting.
And you see like all these like different versions of Asman that could have been, and like Rajat Bedi is one of them. And when he says to Manoj Pahwa's character like "हारने में और हार मानने में फर्क होता है," and he like really like works that nerve, and plays the game in order to get ahead. And I just enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed Manoj Pahwa from his from the entry where he is standing in the background and like suddenly like completely ruins the show for whatever less talented singer was in that band. From there and then to the end where the last time I think we see him on screen, like Asman is crying and Manoj Pahwa's character like pours out a drink for Asman's dad, and then gives him a hug, and Asman's like, oh, like, yes, give me like a little pat on the head, and then he puts the glass of whiskey to his face, and Asman's like, what the hell are you doing? And I was like, that is such good characterization, like you really get a sense of who this man is, and how he's probably been the same. Like, Avatar is being like a constant for like the 26 years or whatever that they've known him. And Rajat Bedi's character, like I'm like actually really rooting for him. Like, if there's a second season, I hope we see him as like a really great studio head.
I was really wondering who the reference with him. I was really wondering, this feels too real to not be based on somebody, and I was constantly thinking, who is this based on? Where is this story thread that he's kind of gotten from? Suchin, any other performances that kind of stood out for you that you want to shout out?
No, I was going to say about obviously Manoj Pahwa was excellent. I had this in terms of all of our conspiracy theories. I actually had this theory that he was the Aryan stand-in, like in the first couple of episodes, because he was so jaded and he was so like pissed off with the industry that I was like, I wonder if that's him. I did actually struggle. So with the Rajat Bedi stuff, I love the idea of it, just having his face, what he represents, what they're doing with it. But after a point, I didn't, that whole gag didn't work for me after a point, because I was like, he was just popping up through the show, and that whole thing of like the sideline supporting actor, like it worked initially, and then eventually it got a bit tiring for me. And even with Manoj Baba, his entire, that's what he does with the show, that he goes so wide, like every subplot has 9 more subplots within it. And so there's a whole other show in Bads of Bollywood. There's like 2 entire episodes of Manoj Pahwa just trying to make it back in the industry, and Kejo and Badshah and all that stuff. But then eventually I sort of just submitted, because I realized that this is like Karan Khan from the 90s. It's just, there is just these characters who are just in a different movie who happen to be in the same movie, and it's just the excess of it all. In terms of their performances, no, that took me immediately to the idea of the cameos. And I was going to ask you guys what you guys thought, because for me, my favorite cameos are the ones where they actually did something with the image. Like, obviously, Kejo was excellent. I like the Ranveer one. I love the Amir cameo, because it was truly laugh out loud funny and more than made up for his coolie stuff, versus the others where it was obviously Emraan Hashmi wins that one, but versus the others where it was just access for the sake of it. Like, Shah Rukh and Ranveer and Badshah and Salman, they were just there because they could be, and that's great and fine. But I love the ones where they really did something. It's actually in service of a punchline, or playing with the image of that celebrity.
Yeah,
I didn't really care for the Shah Rukh cameo, honestly speaking.
I liked it. I enjoyed it quite a bit, actually. I was
I like
grinning, big.
I like the part where he's like, he just keeps going around like Ghante ka Badshah, and like everyone's basically just like, punching, because that's a very Shah Rukh thing, right?
Yeah.
But then the whole like film fair sequence, I was just like,
that didn't work for me at all either, because I think that's where the clash between Shah Rukh and Ajay Talwar in a way is happening. Like, I just don't understand the dynamics of that. And weirdly, that whole film first sequence suddenly felt so small budget to me. Like, it felt like all shot on a sound stage. Like, you only got like Arjun Kapoor for this. Like, you like I said, you have access to all of this, and then suddenly we become so small. And I just, that whole sequence didn't work out for me. Also emotionally, where it becomes like a punch-out fight between Asman and Ajay Talwar on stage. I was like, I don't know where this is going either. Like, it broke from any sense of reality at that moment for me, like on multiple points. So it didn't work for me. But I think the whole Shah Rukh setup is basically Manoj Pahwa's arc comes to that joke. That's what it builds towards. He has no arc necessarily, but that the joke is the arc. And I think that's a lot of times missing in a way, because there's a lot of these things that are happening. Like, what happens to Karan Johar's movie at the end of the day? We don't know, right? Like, there's a lot. Like, do they ever make, what is it, Aramzadeh 2 or whatever?
5. How dare you?
5, right?
Aramzadeh
Like,
5. Yeah.
A lot of these things that they're trying to build towards, or the whole 4 or 5 episodes arc are towards. Like, I don't understand how he won a film first award either. Like, it was his first movie, and then like he's got his first movie, and he's never signing a second movie. Like, I'll read, like, what is like the dynamics of that? Like, a lot of times didn't make sense to me. But yeah,
I was just going to say on that. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he literally asked me. He said, like, do you by the end, are you truly invested in Asman's career or not? And I thought about it to your point, and I was like, I'm like mildly, we want him to do well because of all of it, but yeah, no, and something that Rahul said in his review that I thought was so interesting. You know what you're saying about what happened to Kejo's film and all that stuff. The question is, does it matter? Because the fact is, again, we don't see a single film being made. We don't see any sort of passion for storytelling within the show. So it's almost that, like, does the industry care? I mean, if we're going to read much into it, does do any of these people care about storytelling, or like in the world of the show, to put it gently? Like, is are the movies even the priority, or are they just a means to an end for the noise?
Product, yeah.
It made me. There was some actor who I remember gave a TED talk a couple of years ago. I think it was Abhishek Banerjee, and he had a line that really stuck with me, which was, "The Hindi film industry and Bollywood are two separate things. They both exist. The Hindi film industry is a bunch of people who want to make movies because they really care about them and tell stories. Bollywood is the big thing. It's the circus. It's Bads of Bollywood, and they obviously interconnect, but they're actually very separate entities. And the idea is, yeah, in this show, does anyone truly care apart from the whether it's box office noise, perception, posturing? Does anyone care for actually making movies?
I think Rajat Bedi's character does.
A bit too much.
Yeah.
A bit too much.
But I don't know. I feel, I get that, but I do feel that's being a bit too dismissive of,
Maybe.
But I don't know. You know it better. You literally live and talk with these people. I do feel there are still people that care for the art and want to make good movies, but I think the system has become such, especially in the last few years, that it's become very, very hard for those voices to be able to make what they want to make. And I think it's a clear reference also to the conversation you were having with Kiran Rao about this, like the machinery has become such that it's very hard to just be the Malayalam industry where you can just go out with a bunch of friends and make movies anymore. So I think that's kind of like, but I don't know if the show even wants to talk about that or tackle that. But coming back to your cameo thing, Imran Hashmi one for me was the best cameo. I was laughing out loud. I also just love this. I love the reappreciation of Imran Hashmi more than I love the reappreciation of Bobby Deol to a certain degree, because this elevating of Bobby Deol, we've seen it with Nanna Jaisalmer too. Like we were there when he was a star. Like, it wasn't that great. Like, it's fine, and I'm glad that he's back and he's doing much better work than he used to do back in the day. But I think Imran Hashmi was legit a great actor and made some really good movies, and I think I'm appreciating this kind of love that he's getting now. The worst cameo I thought was actually Ranbir Kapoor, to be honest. I didn't like, especially because it's in the last one, and when you've already had Shah Rukh, right? Which I can say, okay, you've had Salman, you've had Amir, and then the finale is Ranbir. Like, it didn't work for me, and he never it wasn't funny. It wasn't leading to anything. He didn't look good, particularly. I don't think so. But yeah, that one didn't work for me. Amrita, favorite and worst cameo for you?
Yeah, I think my favorite was probably Imran Hashmi as well. That, honestly. And also Arshad Varsi. Like, I really enjoyed the food coming in and when he shoots that guy. He's
I love the song too.
the song's great. I don't know if you've seen the video for it with Tamanna. It's choreographed by Farah Khan, and it's it's like an instant classic, and it's a great song. Like, I didn't know that Anirudh had those in him any longer, but it actually sounds different from all the. What?
I thought Anirudh was only the beach song. Am I wrong?
Oh, I thought he did the entire album. No.
No. If I'm not mistaken, I'm fairly sure Anirudh is only that beach song.
I think it was Vishal Dadlani, because you get thanked in every episode. No, a lot of the songs felt very.
So Vishal is definitely, he's sung a lot of the songs. I thought it's Shashwat Sachdev. I don't know if it's just the score or whatever, but I thought the album is, or maybe it's like a mixed bag, like most movies these days.
Well, shout out to Shashwat if he did Gafoor, because it's legitimately a banger.
Yeah, it's a banger.
And it. And Tamanna looks great in it, etc. And it's such a, Farah and Aryan are clearly a match made in heaven, because she just nails that brief. She got Shakti Kapoor and Ranjit and Gulshan Grover to
Why
come
have I
into
not
that
seen
song.
this clip? Where, like,
It's so great.
I was kicking myself. I missed the Tamanna song, and now you're adding all of these villains in there. I was like, what?
It
What is this?
released. It released. It's like a music video, like the Manoj Pahwa
Yeah.
Bacha thing. So it released
Yeah.
yesterday, and I don't think it's not in the show. It's like an extra.
Yeah.
They had
Yeah.
marketing budget left
Okay.
over.
So they just basically had so they keep having this one guy yells like Gafoor and Arshad Vasi's arrival also on that beach, like Haji Mastan with like a cauldron full of like gold coins that he's like throwing into the air, like amazing, like it was so good. And then he shoots that guy and he's just like, I'm just running around trying to hide my face. And this guy is just sitting there yelling, Gafoor.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a line that only Arshad
Arshad could deliver it that way, right? Yeah, he's so good. And I honestly didn't know who was going to be. Like, I didn't know, because I wasn't following a lot of the news, so I didn't know who was going to be Gafoor's guy.
Yeah,
no, it was really a surprise, and I got really excited. I was like, oh my God, it's such a good.
I was just going to say, songs-wise, my favorite was Revolver, and I would happily, unironically, pay money to watch that film.
The Revolver,
yeah, Revolver, Asman's opening.
Even with all of the product placement of Deol.
I'd do it.
What is Deol? Can I ask you, what is it? I thought it was a hoodie brand. What is it?
It's something to do with like Aryan. I have no idea. I think it's like streetwear. I don't know.
It's whiskey also, no? Vodka or something? The bottle they're drinking? Yeah.
All of the above. All of the above.
Astaghfirullah.
What I really enjoyed about the Revolver sequence, though, is that Aryan really nailed that aesthetic of like low grade VFX.
Yeah.
Which I loved it. I did not see where that was going, and then suddenly we go into that post-apocalyptic sort of like universe with that dirty brown sort of like environment. And there's like that big like Deol billboard, and I'm like, oh my God, I think I've seen this movie. Like, I'm pretty sure we've seen this movie and panned it on Khandan. I loved it. Like,
no, it was the Gunpath filter.
I mean, that's when I knew that I was in good hands. Honestly speaking, like right then I was just like, yeah, sure. I think he knows what he's doing.
But just speaking of Revolver, that just reminded me that, like, just speaking to the meta-ness of the show, Laksh's performance. So, on the one hand, he's obviously playing a recent star who's just entered the big, which is sort of semi-true to roughly where he is right now. And my favorite parts of his performance was the times where he's looking around being like, holy shit, how did I get here? And they felt very honest. But also, even unironically, because of Revolver, where he's playing a fictional star, the way he's presented, that entry sequence is sort of like, if I was an aspiring star, that's exactly what I want to be seen as. So it sort of works on a weird level where, like, for him, he really wants to show, like, assuming be showcased as like, I can be that sort of slow motion action hero, and in a fictional world he sort of is shown as that, and it sort of works. Like, it's sort of, so I just thought on a meta level it's interesting.
I think also just for an actor it's really cool to be able to portray that, because I think obviously people that saw Kill know what he is capable of, but I don't know if that it went that wide. There's a certain audience for Kill, which is different from the audience for this. And I think for an actor like Laksh, who's just kind of coming in, it's like, it shows like what he is capable of. And I think that's really, really cool. But yeah,
I really liked that he was able to play the straight man. Like, he didn't mess it up by trying to out funny Raghav. Which he couldn't have done, and he didn't do it. He knew what he brought to the scenes in the comedy pieces, and he stuck to it. And I appreciate an actor who understands himself.
It also, this is just, I feel like it works for the show because he's supposed to be like a generic success story, by which I mean he's made it. We've not seen the film, but it clearly is a mainstream film, etc., etc. And it works well for the show that he is, this not in a bad way, but a vanilla talent who's on the scene and would technically has a very bright future, and it's whether the circus like allows him to do that. Because the only other angle they could have taken, I'm just thinking out loud, is if they really underlined how talented he is, Which I guess maybe we've seen that before, like the idea of that sort of someone very sincere getting swallowed up or whatever. So I agree with you. It did really well.
I'm sorry, but like as you were talking, for some reason, all I could think of was Man Smooth and like the ads of Man Smooth, and I was like, oh yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Let's get into spoilers now. I think the time is here. Let's talk about the finale, the seventh episode of this, because it takes a turn. A turn I did not see coming, I have to say.
yeah, neither did
Same.
I.
Yeah, like when, because I was watching with my wife, and she understands Urdu and Hindi, but she doesn't speak it. But she mouthed but it didn't get subtitled. So my wife didn't get it. She was like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I like obviously we get it, and it's such an interesting play on like it kind of summarizes what this show is, because it's a play on Bollywood tropes, but it also messes with the audience and all of our expectations so well. And then after that, it really kind of like not fizzles, but it almost makes everything that's happened in a way unimportant, because like where we are now from where we were in the first six episodes. And I mean, we can say this twist, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
Asman is Ajay Talwar's son, and basically the girl he wants to be dating. What's the actress's name?
Mona
Seher
Sen.
Bamba.
Karishma, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, you're talking about,
Yeah,
sorry.
Seher
Seher Bamba.
Bamba, which he has a love story with, is actually his half sister, which is like a twist that I did not see coming.
What I loved about that twist, though, is the way they revealed it with the Gupt song. And you know, the thing is, and this is why I say that like Aryan was clearly like raised by Bollywood in a way that none of us saw coming. Because that particular song and the woman who is playing that, like in the original song, the girl in white who dances with Bobby, I would just randomly think about her, like every time I saw that song, and I'd just be like, was she like, I don't know, the producer's niece or, the choreographer's assistant? Like, why did she have such a big part? And then we never saw her in anything else in Bollywood? And the fact that they took that character and put Mona Singh in there and made her like the backup dancer to like that song. I mean, mwah, just chef's kiss, chef's kiss.
What was your reaction, Suchin, when the reveal happened?
I mean, I had a bunch of them. I was really thrown by it. It didn't. Yeah, I wasn't exactly excited. I was like very confused, and I'm thinking back, and then I went down this very like criticky sort of intellectual. You know what you're saying about like using your brain about like what's he trying to say and what is the purpose of this, and then before my brain could complete that thought, there was that really funny last moment that made me laugh. But no, yeah, it didn't. Yeah, it's not. I didn't consider it amongst sort of the exciting twist school where we were like, oh my god, did not see that coming. What a fun twist. I mean, I've spoken to people about this, and the problem is which I feel like is a bit lazy. Is it works well in the world of the show because anything goes.
Yeah.
And I you could technically use that as an excuse and be like it was all a dream sequence because with that line you can sort of get away with anything. I do think he was trying to do something there, which I thought was interesting. And obviously then I rewatched a lot of the Bobby scenes because I was trying to understand. I did feel it for a second. I didn't see it coming, but when he did meet Mona Singh for the first time at the party, there was something there, and my brain did register. Oh, and then nothing to that extent, and then I forgot about it, like the show wanted me to. But I thought they planted that well. But
Yeah, you're right, because that particular scene, that when Mona's at that party,
she looks away from him.
I was waiting for somebody to be creepy towards her. Like I could feel something in the scene where like I was like, oh, like is this like somebody is going to just, and especially the part where his dad talks about her being a backup dancer. So I was like, oh, like is there going to be some sort of backstory? Like when that producer friend came and he was like talking about me too and everything, I was like, oh, is that
Interesting.
connected to Mona? I did not see Ajay Talwar coming.
Yeah.
So
I just I wouldn't consider it, but I do feel like I don't fully get it or what he was going for, assuming he was going for anything smart. But it was an interesting idea. I don't think it fully landed for me, but I still do think about what that was trying to get at, and I guess the fact that I'm thinking about it makes it a success on some level.
Yeah, I think it's definitely playing with the idea of just Bollywood romance and hero heroine having a happy ending, and here they put it obviously in an impossible ending. Like there is not going to, like, how does this actually then work in the yeah? Go ahead.
I think if
Yeah.
there is actually going to be a season two, we are going to find out that Charisma is actually not Ajay Talwar's daughter.
Ajit. Okay.
I think like that's how they're going to resolve it. Like that would be what I would do narratively.
But still, I
Sorry,
don't
just
think.
speaking of charisma, that's the other thing that annoyed me a bit. Where this happens a lot, where sometimes they'll use a twist to justify laziness. So, for example, it always happens. I saw some film recently. I can't remember. The female character could not be less important,
Yeah.
and in the end, you make the female character the killer, as if to say, "Oh, but this was the plan. It
This was
justifies
the
it."
point
So
of
the
it. Yeah.
fact that the love story here is the weakest, I thought, of the show. You don't feel that chemistry whatsoever, and at the end the show was saying, well, yeah, that was kind of the plan. We did, which I don't know that it was. So, like, it almost just justifies how bland that love story was.
Yeah, and it was really bland because I was constantly wondering, like, when did they fall in love? Why did they fall in
Yeah.
love? And like, there's no. It seemed like a very odd kind of situation, almost forced, but like forced because that's the expectation of the audience. Like these two should be ending up together.
And it's like you said, the breakup scene that really hits you is Raghav Juyal. Because for me, the only emotional core of the show, if there even is one, is the friendship story. That's what
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's the only thing you invest in. And that's why you feel that breakup, you absolutely don't feel Seher and Laksh.
And I also think the finale also just recenters the show more about Ajay Talwar than it ever was, even about Asman and Charisma's love story completely, right? And I don't know what to make of that. Like I understand that the shift focus has been shifted, but I don't know what to make of that. What to kind of take from there, and then it just becomes like a punchline of "See you at Rakhi," which was funny. It's genuinely funny. That's funny joke. But like as a human being, how do you navigate that? How do you navigate that you've
Yeah.
been put into this position, and the show doesn't necessarily want us to think of that or deal with that in any way or shape? So it is a lot of investment for them to say, "Haha, pranked you," And I was like, "Okay, great." Now,
But
I
I do
think
think it
that
is. No, go for it, go.
no, I think that is probably the one thing that bothered me about this series is the fact that they showed the fallout of this revelation between Seher and Lakshya, and it was too easy. I feel like the revelation was earned because when you go back and you look at it and everything, like everything did lead up to it step by step. But the fallout was just that much. Like they basically met in a coffee shop, or not in a coffee shop, they met in Gauri Khan's restaurant. And had like a little conversation, and then she handed over the Coke spoon that he had given her, and that's it.
I did like the Gauri Khan interior design joke, quite funny too, when he mentioned this. Both are designed by Gauri Khan. Funny. So, Suchin,
No,
you
I
were
was
saying?
just going to say that that to me, while you're talking, it just occurred to me that I think it speaks to the show's comedy writing, which is what my favorite thing about it was. That, for example, on a plot level, this whole twist, I don't know what to do with it, I don't know what to make of it. But literally, while I was sort of wrestling with it in real time, there are two really, really solid comedic scenes that immediately bring me back, which is the Raghav Juyal slap scene, where he's just joking, saying, obviously he's sulking, he just found out that the love of his life is his sister, and this and that and that, and he just summarizes the insanity in a sentence, and then, they're talking, and it just goes to the slap, and that's funny, the How I Met Your Mother gag, and then obviously that last gag you see with Karishma's brother, so I think it just solidifies the idea that for me, the comedy writing works so well, even if the larger aspects of the show necessarily don't. Also, as for season 2, this is my prediction based on complete vibes, not based on anything. My gut feeling is there won't be a season 2, because I mean the only way I can see there being a season 2 is if it's such a smash hit for Netflix that they demand one. But for me, from an Aryan career perspective, of really this is me proving that this is what I am, this is my voice, this is what I can do. I think the natural next step, or the one that he would gravitate towards, or people would tell him to, is a film or basically another project. Like now people have signed on to brand Aryan Khan, the filmmaker. Let's see what else he can do. And so either the either it's good advice or it's just the powers that be to just say that, okay, now give us maybe a feature film now that people are bought into this, etc. Whatever that is, I don't see. Yeah, that's the sense I got from the show was not, oh, I have a banging 5-season arc. Just give me another chance. I feel like, no, this was my sort of, whatever, my CV. This is just my portfolio of what I can do, prove that I have a meaningful voice. And if it works, I'm on to the next thing.
I don't see a second season either. I don't like, at least not with these characters, because I think it's so much painted in a corner. And again, it has so much of his own personal experience. I think it's very hard to kind of add any threads here in a way. I don't know.
Or you franchise it. You just pass it on to somebody else under the larger umbrella.
Yeah.
But my sense would be that if this show is the success they want, for all of us being invested in that filmmaking voice, I don't think he does another season of the show.
Because I think when you talk about Seth Rogen's studio, that can definitely get a second season. I think there's still enough stories and there's tropes to kind of make fun of. But I feel here there's so much of him already. I don't think it can, unless you completely shift it to another industry or something like that. But I don't think then Aryan would be coming from a space of, I know this as well, this world as well as I know these other ones. What did you think of that final joke? For me didn't work, of the brother ending up with the maid. I didn't like that one. I was like, what are we doing?
So juvenile. I cannot, it is indefensible, but I laughed out loud. And I feel like it was the show defeating me into submission, because that entire arc, it's just pure conviction of, if you do, the first time we hear that is the way he talks about her in that first scene, second or third episode, where he says, I can't stand how poor you are. And I literally I held my breath saying, how dare, how, you can't say that. That's not and then fuck you. And then they keep doubling down on it. And then it goes to, then they make him a full cartoon with the whole VR masturbation thing and all that kind of stuff. And then I'm really starting to laugh. And then it was just the final middle finger. And because they had planted it for so long, and then by that point, again, I don't even know if it's truly funny or the show is now at gunpoint made me a 15-year-old again. But it worked. I have to say, the last response, the last frame of the show, I was laughing. Whatever that says about me, I don't know.
The only thing I thought was oh, you want a happy ending of people getting together, and this is what you thought I was going to give you. I'm giving you this. And F you again. That's the only thing that I could come up with what it was trying to do. I don't know, Amrita, what did you think of that final joke?
I have no idea, but I laughed just as much as Suchin did. The part where he accuses her of stealing his underwear, I think the first time that we see that girl on screen, and she sort of looks embarrassed in that scene, and she sort of gets very shy, and I remember thinking that's an odd reaction to some guy coming up to you and being like, "Where's my kacha?" And then you saw that play out in that final scene where he's just this is the girl that I want to marry. And I'm just oh, I don't even know. Was he maybe just hiding? Was he masking so that he could protect this girl from his mom? Or is he just an ass?
No, he's just a dick. I can see that. But he's given so much conviction and energy to being a dick that you almost, by the end, you're like, go you. Be yourself. Be a dick.
But he's such a good such a good actor.
It's a very difficult line to thread, and he does it very well.
Yeah.
But speaking of conspiracy theories, I have to say the amount of people I messaged to say, who do you think this guy is? Because I'm again, Aryan is grown up, the star kids and spoiled brats all around. This is a particularly obnoxious, holy shit, you want to punch this person on sight person. This is somebody from his life, and I'm Googling, I'm saying, whose kid is this? And so then that, again, could be completely reading too much into it. I was like, no, this is some specific star kid who maybe is not in the industry or whatever, that he's no, that's who he's throwing under the bus. Could be wrong, but it was fun to Google violently.
Maybe it's Han Pandey. At the end of the big reveal, it's actually Han Pandey, the guy everybody's loving at the moment. Wouldn't that be funny?
If you're talented, it's justified. I said that out loud.
But any other ones of these references? Which like any shots you want to take? Like, who do you think this is kind of like based on, or who is that based on? Like, who is Soda Wala? Based on? Who do you think? Like,
People have asked. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, there are. The sense I get is not like this. These are the old world producers, right? Like the individual money bags who I assume are just terrible people, versus like the corporate sort of sophisticated new age production houses we see. So I'm guessing someone from the 90s.
But I was thinking like it has that 3 contract thing, which is a very Yash Raj thing, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But it can be Aditya Chopra, obviously. But it also then has that Sajid Nadiadwala vibe to it, like, oh, my dad was the bigger producer, and now I'm making Aramzadeh 5, which is a clear like Houseful 7 kind of reference or something like that, or Baghi.
I was thinking Hero Pante. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Or Baghi. That's why
Baghi 5. Like these kind of like really terrible movies, and he's making a ton of them and making a buck. So I was like, what is kind of the
I want
equivalent
to
of it?
know who Chintamani is supposed to be. Like the guy in a wheelchair who is like, running a mithai shop and like funneling 150 crores into movie making. Like that's like a slice of old Bollywood.
But I have to say, when Freddie Sodawala, the first time we meet him, and he says, "Please don't get up again," I just like. But there's something to that, right? Like there's something to that whole idea that this is such fuck you humor, the kind that when you're technically not allowed to do anymore.
Yeah.
And this is not just a throwaway line; it really doubles down on it. It feels oddly honest, and again, maybe this speaks to me, but I'm not. Apart from that one kicking thing, which was too far for me, but I'm not holding it against the show. It's almost like, because they say that this humor's gone away or people are too sensitive and all that stuff. So it's interesting to really, for a show of this scale, to just go for it. It sounds weird, but there's an honesty to the angst and the edginess and the, I'm just going to go for it, which I oddly appreciated. Probably because it landed. Like, these are actually funny things that, for the most part, didn't cross lines, I think.
But I think also you can do it because you're Aryan Khan, right? Because you have literally all of the toys in your toy box. So I think there is also something there that he is allowed to do this. Maybe that, I don't know, but he pulls it off. I think there's a balance there. Like, you have to be able to pull it off, and I think Aryan does pull it off. But
yeah, because you can just imagine the voices who must be telling you, because it's all over YouTube right now. You look at any of these reviews and comments, it's so many family audiences saying, how dare you swear so much and stuff. So for them to let him, because my brain was that the bigger you are, the more there's more opportunity for people to lash out at you. And so that's why I thought it was quite
brave.
Yeah, maybe we're just so used to people playing it safe that for someone to take even the smallest risk, we're all like Oscar.
Which was a conversation we were having offline about cowardice, just generally.
Just take all the Oscars.
I also want to like give like a big shout out to Manish Chaudhary, who's playing like Freddie Sodawala, because it's such a great like hammy performance, and I like that massage parlor scene where every single frame of that scene was just perfection. From the part where Salim says something about like the massage therapist being Chinese, and she's like, "But मैं तो नेपाल से हूँ."
No, my favorite one was when he said happy ending, and he said our mouth or their mouth. Killed me. That one killed me. So funny.
But no, I was going to say that I think that performance for me was the one that nailed the tone of the show more than any other. And it's not easy to do the smirking and the cigarette chomping and all of that stuff. And he's really he nails the Disney villain. And that's why I was like, the second the show sort of passes the baton from him to Bobby Deol's character, I was like, well, that he was the antagonist. He's such an interesting, fun one. So yeah.
Any other random notes before we wrap up? Anything that we didn't cover? Anything that you want to still kind of hit? Amrita, any points that you still have? Can I say, like, if a star loses a phone, there is no way that, like, literally, like, for 4 days he does not have a phone and that kind of plot point doesn't get picked up. Where he's talking to Karishma on
I've seen other people make this point.
Yeah.
And my question always is that you're applying logic to something that has Manish Chaudhary in oil. You know what I'm saying? Like this is not that show. You're technically right, but this show is a middle finger to logic. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it, but
Yeah.
like the literal point is you're having a conversation, and then it's based on this, kind of like confusion and this love story and stuff like that. But you can't like hold all the cards and say haha joking, right? You have to give a litter like somewhere,
Yeah.
and the show refuses to do that. So there were a few of these points that I was like, why is this happening? Like, and the other thing I want to also say, Aryan Khan loves Siddhant Chaturvedi. Like the love that he has for Siddhant on that round table episode, like he must have paused and gone to the writing room just like write that scene
No, but it's
exactly.
not just him. I literally tweet this earlier. I feel like that roundtable moment has had more of a cultural impact than entire films because he's not the first one. Even in not what was it, Call Me Bay, there's a joke that
Yeah.
Ananya. So this we've seen this referenced in like skets and sketches so many times. Like it's been like so. I'm like that moment has really had an impact. And like the fact that this show has now been like 7 years and they're still doing an entire thing about it, like yeah, it's I think that might be like no offense to his talent, but Siddhant Chaturvedi's like legacy so far
Yeah.
really is that moment.
And it's cool that he got then also like an appearance in the show, because obviously if you're gonna take so much of his,
City Boy.
yeah, City Boy, it was hilarious. It was hilarious. Yeah. Any other random things or notes that we didn't cover, Suchin or Amrita?
For me, I think the only concluding thought I had was I had obviously a lot of fun with the show. There's obviously a lot of things with it where I wasn't universally enjoying myself, but overall, my only memory is laughing, having a good time. And for me, the reason the show is a success is the fact that after you're done watching it, all you want to do, like we're doing now, and like I've been doing excessively for the last 2 days, is go to your friends and just want to discuss it, break down, laugh with them, break down your favorite moments, Easter eggs, the fact that we're talking about what did this mean, and maybe we're reading too much into it, and the amount of joy that has brought me is for me the very definition of why this show is a success. And we get so few of these a year where we just want to rally about it and talk about it and call it fan theories, call it like let's just talk about the funniest dick joke or whatever it is. That to me can't not be a success, and that's why for me, yeah, the show really lands.
And I feel like even now we've talked like over an hour about the show, and I still feel we're missing things. We're missing jokes that we haven't covered with sequences, references. It's so stuffed, like it's so amazing. Like it's that what's that toy store on Regent Street, Hamleys? Like it's just like it comes at you from all sides, 4-floor basement. Like it's just
Yeah.
stacked with everything. And I think that's kind of what's so amazing about this. Amrita, any other notes or any other points that you had?
I mean, they say that your first directorial venture, like your first novel, is probably your most personal. And it's the one that you worked hardest at.
Yeah.
And Aryan really has poured himself into this. And, you know, I've seen people talk about like, oh, why do we talk about this? Like, like Aryan's getting all the footage. Like everyone keeps talking about him more than anybody else. And I'm like, yeah, because everybody was waiting for him to fall flat on his face. Like if this series had tanked, nobody would have gone after Bobby Deol or Lakshya or Raghav. They would 100% have gone after Aryan, and they would have been like, he is a shitty director. So I get why, it was a risky move. But he bet on himself. There's that line in the movie where Karan is just like, I'm Karan Johar and I'm betting on myself. And I feel like that's what Aryan did. He's Aryan Khan and he bet on himself. And like Suchin said, the fact that we are all like, it's a conversations piece where we're discussing it, we're dissecting it, and it's not just the film nerds, it's randos, it's just like normal people who watch, say, sequences from this show, and they're just like, wow, like that reminds me of something that connects with me. I think that's funny. I want to see more of this. That's an achievement in today's Bollywood. And maybe, yes, you're right. Like, this is like very, here's a toffee for going to kindergarten kind of a thing. But you know what? That's more than like a lot of people have achieved this year.
And I just want to add to that we're all ascribing the show to Aryan, and rightly so. That's how it's been presented. But it technically has he has two co-writers and two co-creators. He's credited as
Right.
the sole director. I think it's Bilal Siddiqui. Is it
Manish Chauhan.
Manish Chauhan? Yeah.
Manish
So yeah,
Chauhan.
no, and they're all technically creators. But yeah, Aryan is the sort of director as well. And yeah, you assume that they obviously played a big hand in shaping it
Manav
as well.
Chauhan. Manav
Manav
Chauhan.
Chauhan,
Manav
sorry.
Chauhan.
I knew,
But no,
I knew Suchin was here. He was gonna give some props to the writer, so I didn't like. I knew you were gonna.
no, it's just that because they're writers and creators. But to Amrita's point, I really do think, as I said, he did something to this because we have seen, and I'm tired. I'm so fed up of so many shows and movies where the aim is clearly just to have fun. They have very experienced writers, directors, and actors in them, and they are so flat, and you feel all of nothing. And here, we genuinely had fun, whether it's for a moment or for many. We genuinely had fun, and anytime we watch something from Hindi cinema where it feels like we're all on the same wavelength of what fun and funny is, it's to be celebrated. So whether you want to say the bar is underground or what, the fact that this show did this for me in ways that entire other series is not managed. Royals and Do You Want a Partner, the two sort of examples that come to mind. Yeah, full props to that.
Great. I think this is it for this episode, at least. Suchin, man, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter at Suchin545 and I have a YouTube channel now. Yeah, I do things on YouTube. Suchin Mehrotra on YouTube and Suchin545 on Instagram. There you go. Yeah.
Amrita?
So you can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ, but mostly these days you can find me on our Patreon. It is called patreon.com/Khandan Podcast. Link is in the description below, and you should come check it out because we have a lot of behind the scenes content. We have extra things and a bunch of discussions that we really can't be having out in public. So join us at our Patreon.
I'm at Asim Bernie on Twitter. Everything else, drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. Join our Patreon. That's a safe space to talk about these things. I would love to hear what you guys thought of Bads of Bollywood, Bastards of Bollywood, whatever you want to call it. I'm really excited for Aryan Khan. I'm really excited that there's like this new voice that can do a lot, has access to a lot of things, and wants to tell very amazing, like funny, personal story. So I'm really excited what he does next. So I think that's kind of like, that's the main thing that I'm really, really happy about, beside all of the joy that this show gave me. And yeah, that's it for this episode. And I don't know, Suchin, you want to hang around a little bit? We talk a little bit about random things, or you need to run?
No, yeah, sure.
Okay, we'll do that for Patreon then. So join us on Patreon and we'll hang around with Suchin and talk about other things. Okay.